Hey guys, we are in Deridder, Louisiana, and we are at the Pleasant Hill Cemetery. This cemetery goes back to the late 1800s, and I believe there's around 1,400 graves in this cemetery. And I like what it says here on this sign: "For the Lord himself will descend from heaven with a shout, and the dead in Christ shall rise first." 1 Thessalonians 4:16. Like I said, this cemetery has around 1,400 people buried here, and we're going to spend some time this morning looking around this cemetery and look at some of the earlier graves. So now, what tweaked my interest in this cemetery? According to folklore, this cemetery is a haunted cemetery. Can you imagine? I guess if you're into that sort of thing, you might stop and say, yeah, I believe it could be haunted. But we'll talk about that a little later in the video. So now, the first burial in this cemetery was of a young lady. She was 23, 24 years old, and her name was America A. Bailey Whittington. Now, the problem with finding her grave is it is unmarked. It's an unmarked grave. But a little earlier, we walked over here and we found the grave of her husband, who is buried here. And I suppose there's a possibility that her grave is over in this same area. This is the headstone of Samuel Sam Whittington. Sam was born in 1849, and he passed away December the 11th, 1906. Sam was the father of 13 children. 13 children. And like I say, I suppose it's possible that his wife, America, could be laid to rest here in the same area. But like I said, her grave is unmarked. Here we have another woodsman of the world. Woodsman of the world. They had very nice headstones. Looks like this is Robert King. He passed away in I believe that's 09. Looks like he was born in 1861. Back over here is, what is that? Aubrey Davis, born in 1903, passed away in 1917. This is a very nice cemetery. It looks like they maintain it fairly well. And that's always a good thing. You always like to see that when you come out to these areas. So the oldest marked grave in this cemetery is the grave of Larry N. Austin. And there's several members of the Austin family laid to rest in here. Larry's resting place is right here. Larry Austin. Larry was born January the 2nd, 1885. Passed away March the 20th, 1890. He was only 5 years old. The last burial in the 1800s was that of John Middleton Eason. He was born May the 26th, 1899, and he passed away December 23rd, 1899. He was only 6 months old. Rest in peace, little John. Rest in peace. Here we see the headstone of Charlie Campbell. Charlie was born April the 21st, 1865. He passed away December 29th, 1920. And it looks like he was a Mason. And here's his wife, Sarah, wife of Charlie Campbell. She was born January the 13th, 1872, and she passed away August the 9th, 1956. A tender mother and faithful friend. And I believe that emblem there is probably the Order of the Eastern Star. I believe that's what it's called. I think it's a branch of the Masonic Lodge. I think it's a branch for the ladies of the lodge. If I'm mistaken, you guys be sure and let me know in the comment section. I would appreciate it. The first burial in this cemetery is back in the 1900s was the burial of Lavinia Jackson. Lavinia was born in 1895, and she passed away in March of 1900. She was 4 or 5 years old. You see the handshake on this headstone, which I believe means, it can mean one or two things. It can mean that I will see you again, or it could symbolize God welcoming you into heaven. Here we have the graves of Ted and Edith Hines. Ted served his country in the Air Force, fought over in the Korean War. He was born in 1931, passed away in 2017. Thank you, Ted, for your service. This cemetery is divided up. There's a section on the east side of the road as you come into the cemetery, which is this side over here. This is the east side, and the west side is over on this side. Now, the last burial to take place in the 1999, the year 1999.
Dad, who's next?
Is that of Madeline von Seal-Co Lester.
Who's next?
She was born in 1934, February the 28th, and she passed away the day after Christmas, December the 26th, 1999. She was 65 years old.
Can you not read the dates?
Looks like her husband passed away in 2004.
It's not on.
What year does it say they were married? 1956. They were married in 1956.
Yes.
Here's an interesting headstone over here.
That's the one we were looking for.
That's the one we were looking for.
Yeah, that's the one we were looking for.
Ryan Blake Chevalier, born October the 19th, 2004, passed away December the 21st, 2004, just a couple of months old. I tell you what, guys, we picked a very warm day to come film this cemetery. It is warm out here. Very warm. But that's okay. We are enjoying the journey through the cemetery.
That really, what is that?
I don't know, but I like it.
It's pretty. Okay, let's go down.
You know, I know some folks don't
may be
really
further down.
care
I don't know.
to go to cemeteries. They find it depressing. But you know, it's all in the way you look at it. These folks, a lot of them had a very long and happy life, and they've moved on to their reward.
Preston.
I think they're beautiful.
This is James Chambly and Merle Chambly, and they've got some nice, beautiful flowers planted right out here. This is a sign of love.
Did you find it?
Yeah.
Well, guys, if you know your National Football League history, you might remember this individual,
5, 6, 7, 8.
Melvin Branch,
7 or 8.
who was known as Mel, was a professional football player for 9 seasons from 1960 to 1968. He was a defensive end in the AFL with the Dallas Texans / Kansas City Chiefs and Miami Dolphins. Now, if you don't know the story, if you're not old enough to know, the Dallas Texans was in Dallas their first 2 years, I believe 1960 and 61 perhaps. And their owner, Lamar Hunt, decided that the city of Dallas probably could not support 2 football teams, so he moved the Texans to Kansas City, and they became the Kansas City Chiefs. Mel played high school football at Deridder High School. Right here where we are in Deridder, as I told you earlier. He played his high school football here. He went on to play at LSU, and while he was with LSU, his coach Paul Ditzel, he experienced a national championship in 1958. He was selected by the San Francisco 49ers during the 10th round of the 1960 NFL Draft, but he ended up with the Dallas Texans of the newly formed American Football League. He experienced a league championship with the Texans, and that year was in 1962. He distinguished himself when he received All-Star honors 3 times in 1961 through 1963, first team All-Pro status once in 1960. He played in 126 career regular season games consecutively. Quite a career in the National Football League. Here you see where it says American Football League. When the AFL formed, at one time you had the American Football League and the National Football League, and the AFL champion used to play the NFL champion, I believe, in the Super Bowl, and then later they joined together to form one league, the National Football League. You see a visor there, it says KC for the Chiefs. So rest in peace, Mel. Rest in peace. Well, guys, when I started this video, I mentioned that some people believe this cemetery is haunted. And the reason they say that has to do with the KRUEGER family. Here we have the headstone of Fred N. KRUEGER. He passed away, he was only 2 or 3 years old when he passed away. And his mother, Mary, is laid to rest here beside him. She was born in 1921 and she passed away in 1973. And over here, I believe, is Albert KRUEGER, who I believe is Fred's brother. Well, the story is, the reason that they say this is haunted, Fred KRUEGER, who Mary referred to as Freddie KRUEGER, does that name sound familiar? Does that ring a bell? Freddie KRUEGER, he passed away in 1955 and he died in a house fire. He died as the result of a house fire. Well, guess what? In 1973, his mother Mary passed away. And how do you think she passed away? Well, they say she passed away in a house fire. Can you imagine? Both of them passing away in a house fire, but it was like 18 years apart. Now, the legend says that if you come out here at night and you stand over here next to that fence, there's a fence over there in that tree line. If you stand over there next to that fence, right here on these 2 graves, you will see a flame come up out of the ground. What does that flame represent? Good question. Maybe it has something to do with the house fires. But that's the legend of the Pleasant Hill Cemetery here in Deridder, Louisiana. You might agree, you might believe that, you might say that's nothing but hogwash. Either way, you got to admit, it does make a good story. Okay guys, that's going to wrap things up here in Deridder, Louisiana at the Pleasant Hill Cemetery. We hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit the like and subscribe button. And we would appreciate any comments that you would like to tell us. If there's anything that I mentioned today that you don't agree with, by all means let me know, and I will certainly take it into consideration. So I leave you with the words of a good friend of mine who always told me, you can judge a society by the way they treat their dead. Till next time, be safe.